Another important player in MikFX is the events. In earlier sketches I've talked about rules, how they all have a signature with a name, some parameters, and how they do some processing, may raise some flags, and will return a value. Now we're going to focus on these flags. In comes the event. An event is basically a text, and I'm just going to make up a text here. Account type, and then I can put a placeholder, a curly brace, and a number, and a curly brace, and then more text, not exist. So account type something does not exist. I can put as many placeholders in here as I want, I just need to give them a number. In addition, if I wish, I can supply the text in multiple languages. For each placeholder, I now need to give the event a parameter. And as always with parameters, you must supply a name and a data type. In this case, we only need one parameter because we only have one placeholder. So now we have the items in place, and now let's use the rule in a specific context in the mapping. Let's say that right now I am mapping the target fields of some target object. And for one of the target fields, I want to call this rule in order to assign a value to the target field. So I'm going to choose the rule in the studio and say I want the return value assigned to this target field. And when I choose the rule, it's going to pop up its parameters, and it will expect me now in the studio in this context to supply the parameter values. And also it will pop up the flags that the rule may raise. And now in this context, I must decide how to react to each flag. One possible reaction is simply to ignore it. And that means don't do anything, just carry on. Another reaction may be to connect and fire a user event. And if I choose this event, it's going to pop up now and it's going to ask for a value for its parameter. So now here in this context, I must pick the value I want merged into the text when the migration executes. I can also choose a system event. This simply means that MikFX will generate the event text for me, and the event text will be the name of the rule and the value of the parameters. Finally, I must decide on a severity. There are several severities. Important right here is that some of the severities may reject the current business object being migrated. So this is using the rule in a specific context, and in this specific context reacting to the flags. So a very important decoupling between the notion that something happens and what do we want to do about it right here. Now, when the migration executes, how does this work? Well, the engine is reaching the point where it needs to assign a value to the target field. So the engine will call the rule. And at this point, it will supply the values that has been specified for the parameters. And it'll take the return value of the rule and it will assign it to this target field. In addition, if the rule raises the flag, the engine will do two things. It will react, so if the severity was to reject the business object, the engine will reject the business object. The second thing it will do is it will ask a director to store the event, and the value of the parameters for the event. To note here is the director is in charge of housekeeping. So if at a later point in time we are iterating the same business object, the director will purge previous events and store the new ones. When we are satisfied with the iteration, we ask the director to publish the events to the tracker. And this, at the end of the day, enables the tracker to present the events to your users. And actually, this is all the tracker does. The tracker presents events, and the events is the entire description of the iteration results. The MIG effects events, the source of a lot of good stuff.